Welcome back to Strides to Solutions. I'm Esther Adams, and today we're exploring one of the most fundamental principles of relationship building, consistency, through the lens of human horse bonds. What we're discovering is that the way horses develop trust and attachment offers profound insights into how all meaningful relationships are built and sustained. The research on horse human relationships reveals something that might seem obvious but is rarely implemented consistently. Predictable, positive interactions over time create deeper bonds than sporadic, intense experiences. This pattern has implications that extend far beyond the barn or therapeutic riding arena. Let me start with what the research tells us about how horses actually develop attachment to humans. Unlike popular romanticized notions of instant connection, genuine horse human bonds form through what researchers call repeated positive interactions that create reliable expectations about how the relationship will unfold. When horses experience consistent, gentle handling from the same person over time, they begin to show what attachment theorists recognize as secure attachment behaviors. They approach more readily, seek proximity when stressed, show relaxed body language, and demonstrate what researchers call affiliative behaviors: nuzzling, grooming, choosing to stand near their person even when not required to do so. But here's what's particularly interesting: these attachment behaviors don't just happen during the interactions themselves. Horses maintain positive memories of consistent handlers for months after their last interaction. The research shows that horses who experienced frequent, positive contact with specific humans continue to show preferential approach and affiliative behaviors toward those individuals even after extended separations. This suggests something profound about the nature of trust and attachment. It's not built through dramatic gestures or intense bonding experiences, but through the accumulation of small, reliable, positive interactions that create a sense of safety and predictability. The research comparing different training methods provides even more insight into how consistency affects relationship quality. Horses trained with what's called natural horsemanship, methods that emphasize reading horse body language, working with natural behaviors, and building partnership, show stronger attachment behaviors than those trained with traditional methods that rely more heavily on control and correction. But the key differentiator isn't necessarily the specific technique used, it's the consistency of approach and the predictability of the human's responses to the horse's behavior. Horses trained with positive reinforcement show some of the strongest attachment behaviors, but only when that reinforcement is applied consistently and appropriately. What emerges from this research is what I think of as the trust equation. Consistency plus positive interaction over time equals secure attachment. The horse learns that this particular human is safe, predictable, and rewarding to be around. This creates a fascinating feedback loop. As the horse begins to trust, they become more willing to approach and engage. This creates more opportunities for positive interaction, which deepens the trust, which leads to even more approach behavior. The relationship becomes self reinforcing, but the research also reveals how easily this trust can be damaged. Horses who experience inconsistent handling, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes absent, show what researchers describe as insecure attachment patterns. They might approach tentatively, show conflicted behaviors like approaching but remaining ready to flee, or become hypervigilant to small changes in their handler's mood or behavior. The physiological research adds another layer to this understanding. Horses with consistent handlers show more stable heart rate patterns during interactions, indicating genuine nervous system relaxation rather than just behavioral compliance. Their stress hormone levels remain lower, and their overall behavioral repertoire expands. They become more curious, playful, and engaged rather than just obedient. This research has obvious applications for anyone working with horses, but I think the implications extend much further. The principles underlying horse human attachment might inform our understanding of how trust develops in all relationships. Consider what creates trust between humans. Is it grand gestures and dramatic declarations, or is it the accumulation of small, consistent actions over time? The horse research suggests that reliability trumps intensity when it comes to building genuine attachment. This challenges some common assumptions about relationship building. We often focus on big moments, the dramatic apology, the expensive gift, the grand romantic gesture, but horses can't be fooled by performance or manipulation. They respond to the actual consistency of care, attention, and positive interaction over time. The training method research offers additional insights that might apply to human relationships. Methods that emphasize partnership, reading nonverbal cues, and working with rather than against natural tendencies create stronger bonds than methods based primarily on control or correction. This suggests that relationships built on mutual respect and genuine attention to the other's needs and communication create deeper attachment than relationships based on power dynamics or attempts to change or control the other person. The frequency and duration research reveals another important pattern. Short term, intensive interactions can create early signs of attachment, but deeper, more secure bonds require sustained engagement over time. One time powerful experiences might create connection, but lasting trust requires ongoing consistency. This has implications for how we think about therapeutic relationships, friendships, parenting, and romantic partnerships. The research suggests that regular, smaller positive interactions might be more valuable for building trust than sporadic, intense experiences. But there's also something specific about the quality of attention that horses seem to require and reward. Horses are extraordinarily sensitive to human emotional states and attentional focus. They respond differently to someone who is genuinely present versus someone who is distracted or emotionally absent, even if the actions are the same. This means that consistency isn't just about showing up physically, it's about showing up emotionally and attentionally as well. Horses can detect when someone is going through the motions versus when they're genuinely engaged in the relationship. This kind of emotional consistency might be one of the most important factors in building trust with horses and possibly with humans as well. It's not enough to be physically present if you're emotionally checked out or distracted. Genuine attention and emotional availability seem to be essential components of the trust building process. The research on positive versus negative reinforcement in horse training offers insights that might apply to human relationships as well. Horses trained primarily with positive reinforcement, rewards for desired behaviors, show more contact seeking behaviors and more generalized trust of humans than horses trained primarily with negative reinforcement, removal of pressure when they comply. This doesn't mean that boundaries and limits aren't important. Even positive reinforcement training involves clear expectations and consequences. But the overall emotional tone of the relationship seems to matter enormously for how much trust and attachment develop. Applied to human relationships, this suggests that relationships characterized primarily by criticism, correction, or attempts to change the other person might create compliance but not genuine trust or attachment. Relationships that emphasize appreciation, encouragement, and working with rather than against the other person's natural tendencies might create deeper bonds. The attachment behavior research also reveals something important about the bidirectional nature of trust. Horses don't just passively receive consistent care, they actively participate in the relationship through their own approach behaviors, affiliative gestures, and willingness to engage. This suggests that healthy attachment requires active participation from both parties. The human provides consistency and positive interaction, but the horse must choose to engage, approach, and reciprocate affection. When this mutual engagement occurs, the relationship becomes genuinely satisfying for both parties. This principle might apply to human relationships as well. One person can provide consistency and care, but genuine attachment requires the other person to actively choose to engage and reciprocate. Trust can't be forced, it must be earned and freely given. The research on familiarity versus novelty adds another dimension. Horses consistently show stronger attachment behaviors toward familiar handlers than toward strangers, even when the strangers use identical techniques. This suggests that attachment isn't just about the quality of individual interactions, but about the accumulated history of shared experience. This might explain why some human relationships that look good on paper don't feel deeply connected. Without shared history and accumulated positive experiences over time, relationships might lack the depth that comes from genuine familiarity and proven reliability. But the research also reveals some important limitations and complexities. Not all horses respond to consistency in the same way. Some horses, particularly those with traumatic histories, might take much longer to develop trust, even with perfectly consistent handling. Others might be naturally more social and trusting. Individual differences matter tremendously, and what looks like inconsistency from the horse's perspective might actually be appropriate responsiveness to changing circumstances. The key seems to be consistency in the underlying approach and emotional availability, while maintaining flexibility in specific responses. The research also suggests that building attachment takes time and can't be rushed. Horses need repeated positive experiences to develop genuine trust, and attempting to force closeness or intimacy before trust is established can actually damage the relationship. This might be relevant to human relationships as well. We sometimes try to accelerate intimacy or connection through intensity rather than allowing trust to develop naturally through consistent positive interaction over time. What strikes me about this research is how it validates some intuitive truths about relationship building while also challenging some common misconceptions. The importance of consistency, reliability, and genuine attention might seem obvious, but how often do we actually prioritize these qualities over more dramatic or exciting approaches to building connections? The horse research suggests that the most powerful relationship building tool might be showing up consistently with positive attention and genuine care day after day, without expecting dramatic results, but allowing trust to accumulate naturally over time. This has implications for how we approach all kinds of relationships. In parenting, it might mean that regular small expressions of attention and affection are more important than grand gestures or intense experiences. In friendships, it might mean that reliability and consistent care matter more than shared excitement or drama. In therapeutic relationships, it might mean that the therapist's consistent emotional availability and genuine attention are more healing than specific techniques or interventions. In romantic relationships, it might mean that daily kindness and reliability create deeper intimacy than passionate moments or dramatic expressions of love. The research also suggests that building trust is an active process that requires ongoing attention and care. Trust isn't something you establish once and then maintain passively. It requires continued positive interaction and emotional availability. This might challenge the common assumption that established relationships can coast on past goodwill. The horse research suggests that attachment behaviors diminish without ongoing positive interaction, even in previously strong relationships. But perhaps most importantly, the research reveals that genuine trust and attachment create their own rewards. Horses with strong bonds to their handlers don't just comply with requests, they actively participate, show creativity and engagement, and seem to find the interactions genuinely rewarding. This suggests that relationships built on genuine trust and consistency aren't just more stable, they're more satisfying and energizing for everyone involved. Both parties become more willing to engage, more creative in their interactions, and more resilient in the face of challenges. The implications for how we build and maintain human relationships are profound. If we approached our relationships with the same attention to consistency, positive interaction, and genuine emotional availability that creates trust with horses, we might find that our human connections become more secure, more satisfying, and more resilient. This has been Strides to Solutions. I'm Esther Adams, and thank you for joining me today.